So I wasn't actually sure how to start this, but I guess I'll start it like this. Who do you think Yahuah is? Pause for dramatic effect, right? Who do you think he is? That's the question. I've had so many conversations. I've watched so many videos. I've heard so many people talking. And we always seem to forget who Yahuah actually is. You know, we try to do this thing where we make him who we want him to be. And that's not true a lot of times. Most often, it's not true who we want it to be with who he actually is. Or we'll take a little piece of him and make that everything of him and forget that there's all of this to him. There's so much to him. And, you know, we'll just focus on this one thing. Oh, that's what he is, and that's all he is. We got it twisted. We got it messed up. We actually forgot who he is. So what I want to do right now is go through some scriptures that actually talk about who he is. And I'm going to start with like just the names, because your name actually tells you or tells someone who you are. The name that you're given, the nickname that you're given will tell someone who you are. You know, the titles that are put on you will tell somebody who you are, right? So let's actually take a look at that. So I wanted to start with everyone's favorite, right? Our favorite, your favorite, my favorite. We all heard this. This was like the number one verse, John 3:16. I'm not going to say it out because you already know what it is, right? But essentially, John 3:16 and also 1 John 4:8. You're going to go look these up. You're going to read the entire chapters for context. But it's saying that Yahuah is love. Here's a quick disclaimer. We're not going to use the term God. We're not going to use the term Jesus or Lord, because those are titles and those are not actual true names. So we're going to use the true name. It is what it is. Feel how you feel. So here's the next scripture. Psalms chapter 8, verse 1. Once again, read the whole chapter. It's always good to read the whole chapter. Matter of fact, maybe read the chapter before and the chapter after, because that will give you a lot of context as well. But this one is basically saying that Yahuah is magnificent, and so is his name. Enough said right there, right? Enough said. Psalms 8:1. All right, here we go. Next one, right? Isaiah 44:6. He is the King of Israel. He's also Israel's Redeemer. This is my favorite one. He is Yahuah Sabaoth. What does that mean? It means that he is the Elohim of war, or Elohim of armies, right? And, you know, if you're into mythology, if you're into video games, you play this game called God of War, or you know from mythology who the gods of war are, depending on the culture, right? But here we have actually the true Elohim of war, the Elohim, right? It's no one above that. But come back to that. Let's come back to that. Isaiah 44:6. Yeah. Now we got Exodus 34:6. And this one is about Yahuah being compassionate, gracious, faithful in love, and he is also truth. And we're going to come back to that as well. But compassionate, gracious, faithful, and truth. Exodus 34:6. This is who Yahuah is. Probably should have started with this one, right? But Genesis 1:1. He is the creator of all. He's the creator of all things. Okay? Creator of all things. Yep. So let's stay in Exodus, and we'll go to Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. And this one says, Haya, Asher, Haya. That is the name he gave to himself when Moses was asking, well, who am I going to tell him, told me to, sent me? Because they're going to ask me, who sent you? And what am I supposed to say? And he said, Haya, Asher, Haya. What does that mean? That means I am who I am, or I am that I am. But it doesn't just mean that one thing. It is a all-encompassing phrase. So you could really say, I am who I was. I am who I be. I am who I will be. I am existence is what you could say as well. Or I am the existing one. I am just, I am. That's it, right? Like it says so many different things, and there's more to it than that, but it shows you how all-encompassing he is, and just how powerful and just who he actually is I am. And let's actually follow that up with Revelations 1 and 8, where he calls himself the Alpha and the Omega. And it goes back to, I am the one who is, I was, and I am to come. I'm the one to come. Like, I am everything, past, present, and future. Like, you can put me in all of that and you would be correct. I'm not just one of those things. I'm everything, everything always, like that movie, right? And it also calls him Almighty, which if you went to Genesis 17, Almighty would be El Shaddai, or Elohim, Almighty, or even magnificent, right? But if you look into that word Shaddai, you'll find something interesting there too, because not only does it mean all powerful, almighty, the most powerful one, but it also means almighty destroyer. Ooh. Yeah, we're going to get into that as well. But yeah, there it is. All right, let's continue. So Psalms 23, that's another favorite, right? Fan favorite. Everybody knows it. He is our shepherd. What does a shepherd do with a flock? He watches over it, the flock, or the shepherd will watch over the flock, right? What else does he do for the flock? He protects the flock, the people that are in there. He feeds them. He binds up their wounds if they get hurt. He fights for them. He has a staff, but not only does he do all of those things in a protective sense from everyone else, he also protects them from their self. And sometimes that looks like correction. And depending on the person being corrected, that can also look like punishment, right? So he becomes a corrector or a punisher even. Yeah, what? He doesn't do that, because John 3:16 just says he's love. He's all love, right? Correction is love. Yeah, correction is love. Okay, Lamentations 1, verse 14. This goes back to correction and punishment. And the person is talking here. I'm actually going to read this out. Let's see if I can read my handwriting here. Got a little sloppy. My transgressions have been formed into a yoke, fastened together by his hands. They have been placed on my neck, and Yahuah has broken my strength. He has handed me over to those I cannot withstand. How did we get here? Well, it starts off with my transgression. What is a transgression? It's something that you're doing wrong. Another word for that could be sin, because sin is just something that you're doing wrong. And it's not just any old thing you're doing wrong. It's something that Yahuah told you to do and you did the opposite. That is a sin. That is a transgression. And those transgressions oftentimes will become a yoke or a burden on our neck, or some people say a monkey on your back, right? Something that you're carrying now. And it's there by his hand. He put it there. He put a burden on you now, right? And he's broken your strength. And he's handed you over to something you cannot withstand. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Well, if you think of a father, and we'll get into that verse too, that says he's a father, right? But if you think of a father and a child, why would a father correct or punish a child? First of all, because he loves them, right? And he wants them to learn to do things correctly. All right, here we go. Psalms 89 and 26. This one says that he is our father. He is Elohim. That's where the English word God comes from. It's Elohim, but it's Elohim capital, meaning he's the highest Elohim, right? And he is the rock of salvation. Now, I found this one interesting because the word rock in Hebrew is sor. And it just means that. It means rock. It means a block of stone, but it also can mean a foundation, and it can mean strength, and it can also mean mighty one. And salvation, the Hebrew word for salvation is Yeshua. Yeshua, right? Like Yahusha, Yeshua, right? Salvation. So pretty much it's saying that he is the foundation for our salvation. What is salvation? Us being saved from something. Yeshua, that's what Yeshua means. It also means deliverance. It also means victory. It means healing. It means our welfare, our help, and even prosperity. So he's the foundation for all of those things: our deliverance, our victory, our healing, our welfare, and our help. If we don't make him the foundation, we don't truly get these things. And most importantly, if we don't make him the foundation, we don't get Yahusha. Ooh. All right, let's stay in Psalms, because why not? Psalms is full of everything, right? Psalms 46, verse 1. He is our refuge, our strength, and our helper. That just goes right back to what we were talking about before, right? Let's see what else we got in Psalms here. Psalms 83 and 18. This one explains how he is the Most High or Supreme, and it gives him the name Ha Elyon or El Elyon, and that just means Elohim Most High. I had to Google that, Elyon, because Blue Letter Bible didn't help me out with the definition of that. I didn't know what it meant, but I had to Google it just to verify. Okay, this is Most High here. Is the name that he's giving. So we call him Most High a lot of times, right? But what does that mean? Most High, Supreme. That means there is no one else but him. Okay, let's go to Psalms 48 and 10, because I like this one too. 48 and 10 describes him as righteousness, or in Hebrew, Tzedek. What is Tzedek? Tzedek is righteousness, once again, but it's also about justice. It's about right ruling and accountability, or doing things correctly. So he is that. He is accountability. That's a word we don't really like, right? Because that means he's going to hold us accountable for the things we do. Not only that, oftentimes the things that we do, not only will he hold us accountable, but he will hold our generations that come after us accountable as well. That's something we don't like to think about or hear, but that's a thing. That's a thing that he does. Read it for yourself, right? So now we have, let's see, 1 Kings 18 and 39. This describes him as Elohim. What is Elohim? Once again, Elohim is where we derived our English word from, which is God. And that came from the Greeks, the Romans, and, Latin, so on and so forth. And we got the word God from that, Elohim. And just calling back to Psalms 83 and 18, where they made him most high. So he's the most high Elohim, the El Elyon, right? There are other beings that are called Elohim. But we're going to see a verse that says that he is the only actual Elohim. There are other beings that would be called Elohim, and there are other beings that are worshipped as Elohim, but he is the one and true and only Elohim. We'll get to that verse too, because I like that verse, and I think I wrote it out too. So I'm gonna read that verse out to you. He is most high and the one and only Elohim. That's 1 Kings 18 and 39. So let's get back into some names that he was given, or titles that he was given. We all heard of Jehovah Jireh, right? My provider. That's what it means. He provides. That goes back to Psalms 23, him being a shepherd over us. It goes back to Psalms 89, where he is a father and the rock of our salvation, Jehovah Jireh. Genesis 22 and 14, Jehovah Jireh, right? Or Yahuah Jireh. Yahuah is, that means existing one. It goes also back to Exodus 3 and 14, where I am who I am. Yahuah, that's what that means. But he's Yahuah Jireh, you could say, because Yahuah is his proper name that we should say, right? Exodus 17 and 15, Jehovah Nissi. Oh, Jehovah Nissi, right? We hear that in church all the time, don't we? It's famous in church. Right? Jehovah Jireh. It's a whole song. Jireh, right? All of that. But Jehovah Nissi, that means banner. Nissi means banner. So now Yahuah is our banner. What is a banner? Well, I'm just going to look at it in one sense. There's a lot of sense for a banner, but a banner is actually a sign. It signifies something. It shows you what something is. He is our sign. But more importantly, a banner, if you're thinking about it in the sense of an army, it was a standard or a rallying point. You know how, like, when the family will go places, all right, at 12 o'clock, we all are going to meet back right here. That's the rallying point. That is the banner at this location where this blue bench is that says, I'm the blue bench, right? That's where we're going to meet. That's the rallying point. That's what Yahuah is. We're all going to meet right back here. Right here, no matter what, we're coming here. This is the rallying point. You could also look at that as a foundation, right? Without that rallying point, you are lost. You have no standard, because he is the standard. So that means that everything we do, it's up to his standard, not my standard. I don't make the standard. He is the standard. So I have to go to him for the standard. I can't come up with my own. I can't decide this is the standard here. I'm going to lower the bar because I can't reach Yahuah's standard. So no, now the standard is here. We do that a lot, don't we? Church teaches that. I know you don't like to hear that, but it is what it is. Church teaches that. We can lower the bar. We can make the standard, even though he is Jehovah Nisi, the banner. Yahuah is the banner, the standard. He's the rallying point. When morale gets low, you need a rallying point, something to rally, to bring your spirits back up. Guess who that is? That is Yahuah. All right, let's get into this, because this is another one of my favorite words. But this one is Judges chapter 6, verse 24. And it calls Yahuah peace. It says that Yahuah is peace. Where does that word peace come from in Hebrew? It's shalom. Shalom is the word for peace. But more importantly, anything with Yahuah, it always goes deeper. And we just take one thing and make it that one thing. And that's not what it is. Shalom, when you look at that definition, yes, it means peace, but it also means completeness. So Yahuah is actually our completeness. That's why it goes back to him being the standard once again, the rallying point. He is our wholeness. But shalom also means rest. He is our rest. So that goes back to him being a refuge for us, because we rest in him. He gives us rest. If we get rest, it actually brings peace. It brings completeness. It brings wholeness, which brings you back to healing. So rest is healing. Rest is wholeness. Rest is being complete, which brings you peace. So here's one I actually didn't know about, and I was pleasantly surprised when I found this one out. And this one came from Ezekiel chapter 48. I think that's the last chapter in Ezekiel, right? Verse 35. And pretty much it just says that Yahuah is there. It was a city, and they named it Yahuah is there. But that is who he is as well. He is there. But more than importantly, he's everywhere, right? But the word there, I see what I did. The word there, in Hebrew, it's the word shom. Shom. It looks like Sam, but it's shom, I guess is how it's pronounced. And it can mean there. It can mean thence. It can mean thither. You know how the King James loves to use those thither and whither to, all of those words. Yes, it can mean all that, but it also means in it, or you can find him in it, right? So Yahuah is in it. What is it? Whatever you need it to be, he's in it. Actually, let me rephrase that, because that could go so left. Yahuah is in things that are him, that are like him. He's in that. Whatever he is, he's in it. So all of the things that we talked about before, he is shown in it. He's there. What does that verse in John say? Where two or three of us are gathered together, what happens? He is shown. He's in it. He's there. In his name, though, we have to be gathered together in his name. That's why a name is important, right? And it's got to be specific when you're talking about a name, because you don't want to be gathered together in a name that could be a name for anybody, because will he be there? You be specific, because he's specific. That's a story for another day. That's a conversation for another day, right? But he is shown. He's in it. So remember when we were talking about Exodus 34, and I mentioned that, Yahuah is truth? Well, Numbers 23 and 19 kind of goes into that, how he is truth. But it says it by saying what he's not. And 23 and 19 says, first and foremost, he's not like man.
They not like us. They not like
right?
us. They not like us.
And then he says that he should lie. He's not like man that he should lie. So man lies. Yes, we do. We lie. Yeah, we lie. Sometimes we so good at it, we just do it unconsciously and don't even know that we lying. Sometimes you got to catch yourself. Sometimes I catch myself like, oh, snap, I was lying right there. My bad. Let me take that back and say it differently, because that was a lie, right? Yahuah is not like that. He actually cannot lie. He is truth in all its glory, in all its unpleasantness, in all its sharpness. He is truth. And there's a lot of verses that talk about him being truth and his word being truth, right? We know those verses. But I was reading Psalms chapter 50, verses 20 through 23. And once again, it shows that he's not like us.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
So I'm going to actually read it. I'm going to read verses 20 through 23 because he's not like us. And this is going to be that side of Yahuah that we like to forget. This is going to be that side of Yahuah that we don't want to think about. But he's not like us. He's most high, right? He does not lie. And more importantly, we're going to get into this later too, but he cannot abide by evil or be with evil. He can't. Those two can't go together. So this is verses 20 through 23 in Psalms chapter 50. You sit maligning your brother, slandering your mother's son. You have done these things, and I kept silent. You thought I was just like you. But I rebuke you, and I lay out the case before you. Understand this. You forgot Elohim. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Understand this. You who forgot Elohim. That's better, right? Or I will tear you apart, and there will be no one to rescue you. All right. Whoever offers a thanksgiving of sacrifice honors me. Whoever orders his conduct, I will show him the salvation of Yahuah, which actually means Yahusha, right? Because that's Yahuah's salvation. If you order your conduct, how do we order our conduct? By his standards is how we order our conduct. Offer a thanksgiving sacrifice. Sometimes that looks like just praising his name and the things that he has done. Sometimes that looks like fasting. It's a Thanksgiving sacrifice, right? So we fast, and he will honor us. He will show us his salvation, Yahusha, when we order our conduct. I love that. But those first three verses is a little scary, right? Because if we forget him, he will tear us apart. It says that in 22. And who's going to rescue us from him? Who can actually do that? Nobody. Yeah, I was waiting for you to answer, but I said it. Nobody. Nobody can do that. So here's the thing. We also don't like to think about, because we're like, oh, he's love. God is love. He's a 60s hippie, just like Yahusha. And he's not. I don't know why I sang that, but I sang it. So you got to deal with it. Yeah, it is what it is, right? But in Deuteronomy chapter 32, emphasis is on verse 35, 36, and even 39. But read the whole entire chapter. It shows how Yahuah is vengeance. He's retribution, and he's also vindication. Okay? He is vengeance. He's retribution, and he's vindication. That goes along with him being tzedek, or righteous, or justice, right? But it also goes, this verse, as I read verse 39, I want to read that out to you. It shows that, what am I trying to say here? I'm losing my train of thought. Verse 39 shows that he is the one. And it goes back to him being the I am that I am, right? Exodus 3:14. But Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. This is what it says. See now that I alone am he. Had to pause right there. Pretty much he was like, yo, I'm the one. Remember that movie with Jet Li? The one? No, I'm the one, right? Then he goes on to say, there is no Elohim but me. Elohim is capital here. There's no God but me. Oh, but we make gods of a lot of things. I said I wasn't going to say that word, but I'm saying it for emphasis here, and I'm saying it to make a point. We make gods out of a lot of things. We call a lot of things gods. In different cultures, they worship a lot of different gods. And there's a real spirit behind it. But truly, really and truly, there is no one but him. There is nothing that you could actually name and call a god that is actually a god but him. He's the only one that actually has that title, that actually holds the title. Like if you think of a boxer, right? And he has that championship belt. He's the only one with it that can actually hold that title and be for real. Everything else is a lie, but we also know that man lies. So to call something else Elohim, we lie. Yes, and he'll use the term Elohim, but it's Elohim because we try to make it an Elohim, right? But it's not actually the Elohim. There's a huge difference here. And he's pointing this out. And listen how he follows up with, there is no Elohim but me. I bring death. What? Yahuah does that? I bring death. And I give life. What? He does that? Yeah. I wound. Like a wound? Yeah. I wound is what he says. And I heal. No one can rescue anyone from my power. No one, I'm going to say it again, can rescue anyone from my power. No one can rescue anyone from my power. I said it 3 times. That means it's on the test. There's a test at the end of this video. I am expecting that each and every one will take it and get it right. Pop quiz. Yep. Okay. And that anyone goes for anyone. And whatever you put there for anyone, it's anyone. So no one can rescue anyone. Spirit, animal, plant, fish, bird, thing, heaven, star, earth, sun, moon, whatever he created. No one can rescue anyone from his power. No one can rescue anyone from his power. That's the 5th time I said it. It's definitely on the test. Just in case you were wondering. But Psalms 5:4 shows you a thing about Yahuah, because this sounds dark. It's like, oh my. And, you know, we have every right to be, oh my. Yes, afraid. You should be. You should have fear of Yahuah in all sense of that word, because that word has so many senses. But this is the thing about Yahuah. He does not delight in wickedness, because depending on who you are and depending on what side of the coin you get, you would think Yahuah is wicked because he bring death, right? You would think he's wicked. He doesn't delight in wickedness. This is what Psalms 5:4 says, right? And evil cannot dwell with him. Evil and him cannot dwell together. But depending, like I said, on what side of the coin you are, you would think he's wicked. You would call him evil. He's evil. So now that I've done all of this, let's kind of get into why I'm saying all this. What is this all about, Chris? What are you talking about here? Why are we bringing all of this up? The fact of the matter is, a lot of us have conversations, and, a lot of people talk, or, Christianity has done such a horrible job of getting people twisted, to the point where they'll blame things on Yahuah when it's really our fault. Even when he brings death, it's our fault. When he brings life, it's something we did. That would be our fault, in a sense, if he brings life to us. And that's fault in an actual good way, a positive way. You didn't know you could do that, but you can. Ha, ha, ha. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Sometimes I get silly. But, people love to blame things on Yahuah. Oh, well, if God is real, this is what people say. Now, I'm using the word God to make a point and for an example, right? If God is real, why is there so many people dying in the world? Why does he let wars and everything go on? Remember when we read in Numbers? Or I think it was Numbers. I forget which one it was, but he says, you do these things. I think it was Psalms 50 is what it was. Yeah, Psalms 50. You do these things and I keep silent. Sometimes he just sit back and watch and let you dig a grave for yourself because you're doing things. And then he steps in and he lays out his case for you and he brings punishment. But if God, why does he let babies die? Why does he do this? Why does he do that? Someone said to me, and, I didn't have a proper response at the time because I was just taken aback by the wrongness of this comment. But, the person was like, how many people did Satan kill? I was like, what? Yeah, how many people did Satan kill? I was like, a lot. I don't know. And the answer for this person was that, Satan didn't kill anybody. And he, said that after the fact. And then he was like, well, how many people did God kill? I was like, what? A lot. I don't know. He killed a lot of people. And trying to make a point that, okay, Satan supposedly, I'm doing quotes. You can't see that, air quotes, right? Didn't kill anybody. But God killed a lot of people. So who's the villain here? Right? This is what this person was trying to get at. Whether they knew it or not, they were trying to call God. And I'm doing that for example. Once again, disclaimer, example is just an example. This is why I'm saying God. And trying to make a point. So let's reverse it. So what they're trying to say was that Yahuah is the villain. Yahuah is evil. Yahuah is actually the one that is the evil one. And Satan is actually not evil. Our adversary, who is called Satan, that's what Satan means, Hasatan, right, is actually not the evil one. This is what this person was trying to get at. And I really didn't have a proper response for that. But now my response is, no matter what Elohim, Yahuah, does, he is right in everything that he does. So if he decided to kill someone right now and drop them dead at his feet, he would be right in that. And there'd be nothing you could say to him to say that he's wrong. There's no real case that you could lay at his feet to say, you were wrong for that. Everything he do is right. He created everything and everybody. He is not like us. He's not like us, right? So we can't hold him to the standard of human. We cannot hold him to the standard of human. That's why he is Yahovah Nisi, because he is actually the standard. We have to go to his standard. We can't hold him to our standard. So no matter what he does, he is correct. That's like I build a car. I build a car. And then I do things. I make the car do things. And the car talks to me and says, how dare you make me turn right and go down this street? How dare you? Why would you put 89 oil in me? 89 gasoline in me when I think I should get 93 gasoline. That's like the car saying this to me. I made you. How dare you? I'm right in what I do because I created you. We are to question, but we have to be careful of the questions that we have. We're supposed to test the spirits of things. We're supposed to test every word. We're supposed to study to show ourselves approved. But we got to be careful. We got to be very careful of the questions that we lay on El Elyon, Most High. In case we forgot, he is El Shaddai, Almighty Destroyer. He is Yahuah Sabaoth, the Elohim of war. Don't get it twisted here. Let's look at Job. Go to Job and read like the latter chapters when his friends was talking to him. He going back and forth, and then he started feeling sorry for himself, and he started talking real reckless. And nobody thought Yahuah was going to show up, and he showed up. And it's a funny thing. When somebody answers your question with a question, sometimes that shuts you up real quick. And Job had to say, you know what? I'm going to shut up now. My bad. I didn't mean it. You read that and you're going to see the point where it says that. It doesn't say it like that, but you're going to feel that, because he was getting real reckless and this and curse the day I was born and blah, 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 and this and that. And Yahuah had to come down. Where was you? When I set the boundaries of the water and told it, this is as far as you go, and you will go no further up this land. Where were you when I did that? Were you there when the morning stars shouted for joy, right? He started asking him these things because it's like, who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? Oh, you forgot about Haya Ashahaya, okay? Before you was, I was. Okay? And I will be after you are. Who do you think you are? You must have forgot.
Y'all must have forgot.